A burglary in progress, 1518 Z Street.
Across America, law enforcement agencies working with the alarm industry are dramatically reducing calls for service for false alarms.
After the very first year in putting the program in place, we were able to reduce our false alarm calls by 67%.
At one time we were going towards 1,200. I look at the last number, we're only at 500 a year.
This successful alarm reduction program is a joint effort of the nation's law enforcement leaders and the nonprofit Security Industry Alarm Coalition, SIAC, a resource provided free of charge to law enforcement by the electronic security industry.
You know, why we came together, why the IACP comes together with private industry like the alarm industry, is to look for partnerships.
That, you know, we have this partnership so that the industry that constantly wants to improve can work with us to make sure that when that alarm does go, it's the one that you've got to respond to.
And we have great model ordinances now. We know how to make them work, and the entire process has worked very well.
Initial strategies include requiring 2 calls from a monitoring center to an alarm site before contacting law enforcement, and technical changes to alarm panels to make them easier for consumers to use.
Years ago, it was the alarms were faulty a lot. They're not faulty anymore.
It's not the equipment with all the technology. It's not the installations with all the standards. It's that end user. So the whole thrust of the program is change behavior of the end user. We do that, we win.
Today, the widely utilized model alarm ordinance developed by SIAC and law enforcement continues to lead to reductions in alarm dispatches. Recognized by IACP and NSA membership resolutions, the ordinance requires registration of alarm sites, escalating fines for false alarms, and non-response for chronic violators. Many departments offer alarm classes in lieu of initial fines.
They had a model policy that we looked at. We made some very minor tweaks to that policy that fit our community. And in doing so, when we made the presentation, they were able to show the statistical advantages, the safety advantages, the crime prevention strategies as a result.
And unlike controversial policies that eliminate or curtail police response, the model ordinance quickly gains public support.
People have alarms in their homes to protect themselves and their property, and so it's important for law enforcement to be able to respond to alarms where there is an intruder. And a lot of times that may be the only opportunity they have to interact with the police.
Having an alarm system there is a great deterrent, I think, but it's also a way for us to, quickly respond if something does happen.
The model ordinance focuses on problem alarm sites, which make up a tiny percentage of all alarm systems.
In Charlotte-Mecklenburg, we have about 160,000 registered permit holders for alarms, and about 95% of those never have a billable fine.
Today, with over 100,000 registered alarms in our county, 94% of them comply with all of our regulations in Fairfax County.
In fact, national statistics show 85% of alarm sites generate no calls for police service in a given year.
I think we've gone from the 65,000 to 28,000 alarm calls, which allow us to keep officers on the street.
And most of the time it was employee error. So our guys will go in with the manager and say, hey, this is what we need to stop, this is what needs to continue. And we saw a dramatic drop in our alarms from there.
Registration, fines for alarm owners, and other administrative functions can be handled in-house or outsourced to the private sector.
SIAC can truly help you reduce the number of false alarms and free up law enforcement personnel to be out in the communities doing the work they really need to do.
In my city, in Marietta, Georgia, crime today is the lowest it has ever been in the existence of the city. I think community policing itself, but leveraging technologies like home and business alarms has certainly been part of that.
And SIAC works with law enforcement to update policies as new technologies enhance alarm systems and helps law enforcement implement policies statewide.
Instead of sprinting to catch up,
we're able to weigh in as it's emerging and address those issues that would concern not only the security industry but also the law enforcement community.
When you go to the state and you go to the Capitol and you say the police want it, the alarm industry wants it, it's very difficult to find anybody that's against it.
If you think about the number of model alarm ordinances that have been adopted across the country and the reduction in those false alarm calls and then the redeployment of those resources, it's definitely making a difference in communities across the United States.
We're going to continue to try to work together and harness it the best way we can for the good of the communities and the people that we serve.